Welcome back, folks, to World of Warships Legends. I'm Soopa-Dave. In today's video, we have the Northern Dragon because it is in the shop for this the New Year event here. This is basically an Akazuki. It's not the same, but it's the hull, and it's pretty similar. We'll go over the differences here in a second. For Commander, we're actually using, instead of Sai Ching, we're using Zen Bing. And the reason for that is the minimum ricochet angle of your destroyer's AP shells. And that will be important on this ship, I can assure you. For inspirations, we're using Swirsky and Bay. Yes, I know, like a lot of people like to run Sims in this extra slot. This is not something I do. I normally do just well in destroyers without it. For example, at tier 7, you might get 2,000. Most people will get maybe 2,500 health off of having Sims. If you out detect somebody and get the first shot off, that's the same thing right there. Plus, you have better detection to do that same thing against another destroyer. That's always been my argument for it, especially at tier 7. A legendary tier, I would say opposite, or if you have Sims all the way up. But this is a beginner's guide, right? So most people aren't going to have Sims maxed out. We are using Observant Range. Look at me now. Perceptive, because the guns do turn pretty well. So definitely want Perceptive as a must. We are using Smoke on the Water. None of the other ones are super beneficial, I guess. And we're using Unstoppable for the reduced mobility. For our modifications, we are running a little bit extra for the turret traverse, but honestly, we could take aiming systems mod there too. I mean, the guns don't turn bad. I haven't had an issue with them. And that might be something I changed as well. But the accuracy, Japanese destroyers have pretty decent accuracy, even though this is Pan-Asian, it's off of the Japanese Akazuki, right? And we're gonna have prop mod as always, and concealment is always in the third slot. And in the last slot, you could go with the torpedo reload, but honestly, I'm generally going with guns. And like I said, that first slot I used to kind of counter the effects of it. For your smoke generator, right? It's pretty solid. You get two of them. Handy. Now here you could either take the engine boost or the defensive AA. It has good enough AA that there's a small argument to be had here if you're playing in a division with a carrier. But this thing is so slow that you want the engine boost. I can assure you that. Also, you get one extra reload booster than you do over Akazuki with 3. This is very handy. Because you only have 4 torps. They hit like a truck, but you only have 4 torps, right? And because of that, with this reload time, it ends up working out pretty close to your reload time on your torps. As you can see here, the reload is 105, so you only have to wait a little bit, and then you'll have your torp reload boost. So I end up using these together a lot when I'm sending out torpedoes. That's just me. You could just, use them whenever you needed to, but you have 3 of them. So, for your specs, you have 19,000 health on this build, so it's decent. For me, I don't have an issue with that. And also the guns. So these are Akazuki guns, but there is one difference. The do not get the quarter penetration on HE, right? So meaning that in Akazuki you can sometimes use HE. In this ship, it's really tough to use HE. Now I will show you what I mean here. So with these shell sizes, right? It's 100s. They have 17 millimeters a pen. Why is that a real issue, right? So if we look at, I guess we could have just looked at the ship where you're looking at, but you can see this ship outside of the top, this is all 20, right? So it's going to shatter. You don't get that extra quarter pen that the Akazuki gets. So all your destroyers, basically, most of them at the tier, that you're going to be going up against, that HE is just going to shatter and it's going to do absolutely nothing, right? So you can see here, just show you some of the destroyers quick. They're all basically at the tier. You're just going to shatter. So do not use your HE unless you absolutely have to. On another destroyer, it's I mean, you still, even when they're bow tanking you, you just, with the angles that you can get on this thing, with the also with the commander that we have, you're gonna do more damage with the HE or the AP over the HE all the time. I can assure you, this is almost 100% of the time you're gonna have AP loaded. The only thing I would say is if you want to try to set fires, because for a 8 guns, having an 8% fire chance every 4 seconds is not bad. So you could do that for fire chance, but again, you're gonna shatter a lot of these shells. They don't have the penetration to be really doing a lot. This is a little bit slower reload than you get on Akazuki. I think it's like a second or so, but you also are doing about that much more damage, so it evens out. And the AP, honestly, it actually almost, because of this, it almost makes me prefer the Northern Dragon over the Akazuki. I'm not trying to sell this ship at all, but the reason it does is on Akazuki, you kind of have to switch ammo types a bunch depending on what you're shooting at. This ship, you're basically just shooting AP. It's more straightforward. And torpedoes, uh, they're deep water torps. And this is one thing I will say about the Northern Dragon that kind of evens it out for Akazuki and Northern Dragon. The torps, you cannot hit other destroyers with these. Obviously, you guys know that it's Pan-Asian. But the problem is this ship is so long and unwieldy that you really need every asset in your hand to take out another destroyer, because when you auto aim, the ship is so long, guys, right? If we compare it to, like, even a lot, look at how long that is compared to like a Loyal Wing, right? That auto aim people are going to be shooting at you is going to hit the back of your ship all the time. Like, there's a lot of people that use auto aim to aim, and they will hit you in this ship, and it's unwieldy. So even though this thing is a very good gunboat in my opinion, it can be overrated, because once you get in a fight, right, everything auto aims at you like Akazuki, and you're gonna get hit by it. So even, you just gotta try to kill the other destroyer. You get and that's another reason for the concealment on this build, because a lot of times if you can get them spotted before you and you got teammates that'll help shoot, they'll be dead real quick before they even realize what happens. So, but not having the shallow torps, that's the one thing I wish this had, because these deep water torps up against destroyers, I don't mind deep water torps, but any destroyer myself, I like having regular torps. Deep waters are great for farming everybody else. But these are good torps. Do not get me wrong. The ship can get a little overhyped on taking other destroyers, and Pan-Asians in general. When you don't, they have the deep water torps. It can be a little bit. That's a disadvantage on taking out other destroyers. AA defense, honestly, for a destroyer, it's not terrible. You can shoot down planes. Um, you're not a Friesland by any means, but it's not bad. Maneuverability is atrocious, and I mean atrocious. This is like the Elbing, right? You have no speed, a big turning circle. The rudder shift isn't terrible even on this build, but man, it's easy to eat torps. It's easy to eat if you're not careful. Like, I like this ship. Do not get me wrong, but there is a higher ceiling to this ship than some of the other destroyers, because of the length and the unwieldiness of this ship and what it can be. You're not really going to fix it with a whole lot of commander perks, right? Because maximum speed is 33. I mean, you're way below some other destroyers, right? Your turning circle, there's nothing that fixes turning circles, and this thing has a battleship turning circle. In fact, the Alabama, I think Alabama and like North Carolina, they turn quicker than this thing. So put it in perspective for you. Concealment 4.9 and firing in smoke is only 2.1. So again, concealment is super handy. I'm always an avid supporter of it until you get to like tier 8 and legendary tier. Then I would, then you kind of probably want to build for health. There's an argument when you get up into the upper tiers like that. But for most people, I feel like this is a solid build for them. My stats, you can see, even though I'm not doing a ton of damage, I am getting rid of other destroyers in a winning for our team, right? I'm not damage hunting. That's not what I am as a destroyer. If I get the opportunity, I will, but I'm going to spot, get rid of the other destroyer, do cap control, and then if I get the opportunity or if a good opportunity presents itself, then we go ahead and then we'll farm. But I'm not a person that cares about my numbers so much. I care about helping my team, and I think that's an undervalued thing in destroyers. You can see we have pretty decent win rate. Our guns are pretty accurate. Our torps, I've had really bad luck with my torps, but I wasn't on my best A game when I was sending torps. You'll see that in our match actually today that I'm gonna be showcasing. So I'm gonna do stuff I probably wouldn't have normally done with the torps. But again, solid results. You can see even with us taking the turret traverse in the first slot, the main gun accuracy isn't bad at all in it. And I've had decent games in this, right? It is a solid ship. It just has a high ceiling to use it. Armor, it's a destroyer, it has none, right? Like, unless another Northern Dragon's trying to shoot HE on you, and then you have a ton of armor. As we start the match, it's disclaimer time. This is a beginner's video meant to help people new to the ship or new to the game. This is not meant for professional gamers that know everything there is to know about everything in the universe. There are multiple ways to play and build this ship, and I am an above average player, not the world's best. I make mistakes. You may see one in this match. You didn't come here for pronunciations. I'm as good as anybody at slaughtering beautiful languages all the time. Now we are out at Mountain Range, and I can assure you that I do like this ship quite a bit. I'm not trying to sell it like I said at all, because I don't think that's the way you could play Akazuki if you want. But I do like this one and a little bit more because I like being able to use AP more. Not switching ammo types is helpful. Not having torpedoes get other destroyers kind of sucks, but it happens, right? So, like I said, you want to make sure, you want to be careful that you're not around a lot of cruisers when you start a fight because this thing is so long and the turning circle so bad. If you get yourself too far up and cruisers get you spotted, and you're not careful, it can be bad. I'm not saying hide from cruisers. What I'm saying is be careful when you're around cruisers because that is the big thing. Auto aim is always going to hit you. That's the one thing about the ship. But you guys are going to see here, we're going to head to sea. And I know, I have an idea because of our locator. You can see we know where the other destroyer is. We also know he's probably not an aggressive player because I'm not located right now, right? One thing I can kind of always tell is if you're not located, it's probably going to be not the best destroyer player maybe up against you. But we'll see here as we go into the cap, and you're going to see once we get in, we know we're contested. We're letting the carrier know he's right in front of us. Can you spot him for me so I can see where he is? And you're going to go ahead and do our carrier's credit. He is going to 100% go ahead and do that. So you can see I'm assuming he's over to the right. Carrier's got him spotted. We're going to look for where the carrier's dropping. We'll know exactly where he is, and then we're going to go ahead and get into this battle. Now you're going to see how long I can out-attack this guy. And then look at my first shot, right? So my first shot, and he's not even broadside, is let's see here, 4,000 or almost 4,000 damage. So taking that extra Sims thing, that's already gone. Like, you know, that's gone. Like me out detecting him gave me what the Sims bonus was, more than what Sims bonuses is, because I took that off of him. And plus, I can out detect another destroyer if I need to, and do the same thing again. So that's my debate on detection. Now, we're going to go ahead. We're still detected. We know there could be torps coming from angles because there's obviously another destroyer here now. We're going to let the carrier know where he is. The carrier's actually on him. And I think this split was worried about trying to torp our battleships. And he got himself in a bad position because his guns are turned the other way here. And we're going to out-detect him as well. And we're going to start to unload on him, and we're going to get the upper hand, and he's going to be so worried about, I think he was trying to torp our battleships and then got caught on the island, and with his guns turned, we are just going to absolutely shred him. And you can see how decent the ship is. Now, carrier does get a torp hit on him, but it didn't matter anyway. We were absolutely wrecking him. So we get rid of 2 destroyers, 2 decent destroyers as well. Now, granted, that split player may not have been the best player in the world, but or maybe he just got sidetracked torping battleships. Who knows? It's hard to be in other people's shoes, but we're going to go ahead and get this base captured. And you can see the carrier's been around us, and we have been able to shoot down a couple planes. He hasn't really necessarily focused on us. But we're going to go ahead and get our cap. And like I said, like the ship, but when you're shooting AP, make sure you're getting full pens. Like, that's a good thing with it. And you can see, even when Velos was angled to us, we were still able to get damage on him. That first salvo where he was angled at us, where we got 4,000 damage on him, on the first salvo. That's what I mean. You just want to stick with AP. The HE on this thing, unless you're trying to start fires on a battleship running from you, not really worthwhile in my opinion. But we're going to go ahead, and you're going to see how slow this ship is. And Massachusetts is going to ask for spotting over there, and I don't think the carrier's there because I don't think he's going to watch everybody get waxed and stay there. And I don't want to go chase the battleship or a carrier right now, because right now, this match could still go either way yet, right? We've been pretty lucky. We got 2 of the destroyers off the board. Our Z-44, I think, went down already, but I was kind of expecting that, obviously. It's a Z-44 player. So we're going to go ahead and continue on. But you can see now the carrier is here, and we can dodge. When he shoots from, drops on us from this angle, we can dodge his torps. That's one thing I will say, is if you get a good carrier player against you, dodging well-placed torps in the ship is harder than in another destroyer. You can still do it, but once in a while you might get caught if you're not right on top of where the torps are going to be. And we're going to go push in here now. So this isn't me winning harder or nothing. This is me drawing a line and making sure nobody goes crossed it, basically, is what's going to happen here. I want to make sure that they don't take our cap. It's one thing to get caps, it's another thing to defend them. And now we send our torps here thinking they're going to slow down when they come up heads up against our enemy team. And this is what you're going to see is, you're going to see here against, when I said I've had bad lucks as a carrier gets a great drop on this long destroyer, like every stinking shell hit. And then it's another thing you got to be careful as carriers. But as you're going to see here, we're going to start farming, and these guys don't even slow down. They're just in full suicide mode. I did not expect this. I expected them to slow down, is why I put them torps out where I did. You see, we only have 4, but we had the reload boosters, and you can see we did a significant amount of damage to that Iowa. And even though he's bow in, he's already on fire, so I'm not gonna switch to HE. I don't want to trigger his fight fire with fire. I know there's people that would do that just to get the damage to start ticking for them. I'm not that player. I'm also not chasing Krakens and damage totals, right? If they happen, they happen. But I'm not going to screw somebody else that put a good fire on the ship. And we're gonna go ahead, and you can see we're doing a fair amount of chunk now. You can see the carrier is focused on me, so he's definitely not worried. You know, he's definitely not focusing on Massachusetts, so that's why I'm not too worried about this carrier. He's been focused on me for a little bit, and he had that one really good HE drop, but outside of that, he hasn't been able to do much to me. And I did not expect these battleships to charge in like that. That caught me completely off guard. And now we're going to work on Flounder as well here. But you can see we did quite a bit of damage just using AP. You could use HE if you get into the superstructure and maybe start... it's more to start fires on the ship than it really is to do any damage, right? And again, we're going to think this guy's going to slow down. But again, he's not gonna. So we're not going to get a whole lot of torp hits. I was pretty unlucky with my couple matches here of not getting torp hits. If I had it placed torps, you know, expecting them guys just to bull rush fully in, this would have actually been a pretty gnarly match, to be honest with you, because these torps, when they do hit, they do a lot of damage, and you know, a significant amount. It's over 20,000. And so we see that our battleship has not spotted him, right? Like, or spotted the carrier, meaning I was right, he was running away, and we're going to go ahead and send out torps now on Massachusetts. Again, assuming he's not going to slow down, but these guys were just absolutely crazy. They were just suicide magnets, right? So they didn't like their own health. As you see, we do get a hit, however, unexpectedly on that cruiser. And we're going to go ahead and work on to finish him off, and somebody else gets it, that's fine. Would have been kind of cool to have it, but who cares? At this point, we know this battle's pretty much won. We can go charge after the carrier now and help our battleship, who now is getting focused. To be fair, though, he was in a Massachusetts. He shouldn't have been too worried about a carrier, right? That thing shoots down planes pretty well. And we're going to go ahead and take our way and move up to this carrier. But like I said, overall, I mean, I like it. It sounds dumb. There's a lot of ships that I like I might like for other reasons than other people. And I might also, you know, like, I think because of the AP on this ship, it's good against other destroyers. And it doesn't have, quote unquote, the tools to get, you know, be amazing. Like, it's got good guns on it, but you don't have the torps. Your ship is really long. You have some negative things, but I think when a playstyle fits, this thing for me is really good at getting rid of other destroyers. Now, is it also, can it be hit by a lot of stuff? You know, by a lot of cruisers because of the size of this thing, and you know, how hard it can be to dodge in it at times. Yes, and that's why I said the tool set against other carrier destroyers probably isn't the best, but for my play style and kind of like how I like to play, it fits me very well. I like having the detection, out detecting everything, and then being able to actually have the gun power to take it out. But as you can see there, we do in fact help our team obviously win the match by getting rid of 2 destroyers and then helping out with almost a 3,000 base game. Anyway, you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time, folks. Have a good one.